Hmm. Hello, people. Welcome back to another video by your good friend Chad Marco, the big Anarchy. Make sure you guys check out my other social media. Attack that like button like now. And I got another comments video for you guys. So let's get right into it. So Solo Crazy says on the old comment video, Chad, you are spitting facts. I had a nice union job and was living on my own. Life hit me and I lost the job and had to move back in with my parents. I'm doing the same with no job as I was doing 2 jobs on my own. So I believe in that video, I was talking a bit about, one of the videos that I made where I talked about how living with your parents is the new MGTOW. I mean, you don't even have to call it that. I think that it's a great strategy, and for a lot of people, a necessary strategy for just making sure that you're able to be a little bit more financially stable. And really, let's just be honest, bro. Like your mental health, that like improving your mental health from just not being stressed out about bills and things like that. Like, you guys know I love looking into conspiracies and learning about the different ways that our government screws us over. And I swear, man, like seems like every week I'm learning something new about just how unfair the system that we live under really is. And for me, it just reinforces the point that we have to really try to find different ways to kind of make life easier on ourselves, because I'm telling you, our government goes out of its way to make sure that we are financially clamped down on. There's a great interview that Tucker Carlson did with someone who wrote a book about one of the great, I think, recessions or inflation periods in Japan. And he talks about how the central banks worked and like the corruption in the central banks. And one of the things he talked about was how when the central banks first came into power, they were basically getting rid of like the smaller banks. They were either absorbing them and getting rid of them. And during this process, things were happening where people were losing the money that they had in their banks, but the debt was still valid. So you would lose the money you had saved in the bank, but your debt with the bank was like crazy shit like that. And I'm learning this, like I said, bro, like fuck what these normies say, fuck what the boomers say. We are our own generation and we have to make decisions for ourselves as far as like figuring out how we're going to fucking survive. And I get it, if you can make enough money to live on your own, and or your parents suck, you hate living with your parents, then you got to take a different route. But I'm just saying, for a lot of us who don't make a lot of money, and those of us who are gonna be working like entry level type jobs, like if that's the type of thing that you have to do in order to keep your damn sanity and have some financial stability, then do what the hell you got to do. 'Cause I'm telling you, the system is not for us. It don't give a about us. So on the GalaxyCon video, PlayStation All Day says Chad finally found his people, introvert or extrovert. I can't tell anymore. So you guys saw the AnimeCon video that I put out where I went to GalaxyCon maybe like 2 weeks ago at this point. And I was having a good old time, man. And like he said, though, I really felt like I was amongst my own kind. And there were even people I talked to, I was like, this guy is nerdier than me. He more to this shit than I am. And just all the anime experience that I have and being able to share that with other people, and they know what I'm talking about and I know what they're talking about. That was really cool. But he says introvert or extrovert. I really more so identify truly as an introverted type of person, but I know how to hit that switch and socialize and have fun. And I think that's necessary. I think using the excuse of introversion or having a preference for solitude or being introverted to not know how to socialize, that's not a good idea. One of the things I definitely realized is that learning how to socialize and deal with people, it's a necessary part of life, unless you're going to be hiding in your room forever. So over the years, I've always kind of like practiced here and there. I can make a whole video about it really, because I used to have terrible social anxiety. And even today, I still got to work on certain things about my socializing and dealing with other people. But I just know how to hit that switch and just really put myself out there the way that I did. But one thing I do remember is that the 2 times I went to Raleigh, the first time was for my birthday. The second was for the anime con. When I finally got back home, it was like, whew, it was like a sense of relief. And I would experience like almost like this delayed anxiety where I would think about all the socializing and shit I was doing. And then I would get kind of anxious, like just thinking about it. In the moment, I was able to just bulldoze my way through it damn near effortlessly. But it's like when I finally got home and was able to decompress and relax and get back in my comfort zone, it was like, whoa, what the fuck was I doing? But I'm a natural introvert for sure, but I just know how to hit the switch and deal with people when I want to and when I need to. And then King Simba says 4710, she's a keeper. Should have asked her out, bro. I felt hella chemistry light years more than you and Iris. Never seen you in such a natural environment. Fit right in, vibes in the community was on point. Probably where end up finding a Mrs. Chad Marco, but happy you enjoy yourself, brother. And then Gaz Golden says she was just being friendly. Dog, chill. Now I think he was talking about when I was talking to that girl back when I was at Galaxy Con, and she was really cool. But I did go back and I looked at the video and I did notice that we were having a pretty good time having that conversation, telling her about how I don't like Attack on Titan. But the thing is with girls, you never know. Like Gaz Golden says, she could have just been being nice, or who knows. But I didn't go there with the intent to find a girlfriend or to date or anything like that. And to be honest, as I was going there, I'm not gonna lie, I was definitely excited about seeing the girls, being able to see like how many girls will be out there, the type of girls will be out there. But I had told myself, we're not doing this for the bitches. One thing that Coach Greg Adams says about guys is that we have a bad habit of only doing things like new things for women or to get women. And he always talks about how sometimes you got to do things for yourself. He talks about how guys will go to they'll wait till they're going on a date to go to an expensive restaurant or to go somewhere new and stuff like that. And that's why when I do stuff like this, going new places and whatnot, there's always that part of my mind, because I'm the man, that's just how we think, that's curious about what type of female is gonna be there. But I always try to put that to the back, way to the back, so I can just focus on having a good time for myself. And I think also that's what allows me to be so relaxed and have fun the way that I did. I think if I went there with for the express purpose of trying to get a girlfriend or trying to meet girls, I wouldn't have been as free and loose as I was with my socializing. But I will say, I feel like I do wish I would have talked to more girls when I was there, not for the sake of getting a girlfriend, but I think that I kind of hindered myself in terms of like content, because I was still kind of like stuck in the mindset that girls wouldn't want to be bothered by me. And when you're doing stuff like that, anybody might not want to be bothered by you. That's just the truth. But that's the only regret that I have. Like, I wish I didn't let like that MGTOW part of my brain prevent me from just talking to girls, like more girls anyway. Not even to try to date or anything like that, but just with sex and dating out of my mind, let's just do it for the vibes. Let's just do it for the content. Let's just do it to get to know people. Because I had great interactions with the few girls that I did talk to there. And so Clear River says, I think on the same video, I feel like you're making people uncomfortable. And then Mark says, nah, he's actually really personable. And then Clear says, no, he's not. And the King says because he's black. And GM20 says, I watched the whole video and people seem to be having fun with him. It's all cool. And then Clear says it's because you have autism. I feel like overall people were having fun, definitely. I don't know what Clear is talking about. Now, don't get me wrong. There were definitely a few interactions where I feel like you know, when we got a camera, I think that was the main thing, like having a camera in your face all of a sudden. That's what I noticed. Like the whole time I was there, and I didn't even put all the clips in where I was doing interviews. There were people I talked to where I didn't even record it. I was talking to the security, the police officers. I was, bro, I'll tell you, I was really social out there. I didn't even record everything. There was only one person that I talked to where I felt like this person doesn't want to talk to me. It was like some black guy and a Mexican guy, and they were sitting down resting, and I kind of just rested with him and started talking. The black guy was just like, who is this dude? But the Mexican, he was cool. So even then, it was one guy out of that two that was into the conversation. But out of all the people where I did the interviews or were talking, they were cool. It was the camera that would throw them off at first. And so after I figured that out, I said, let me ask them first, are you okay with me doing? Because sometimes I was just walking around with the camera out, and then I would just go to a person, and it's like, whoa, camera. But I think that's the main thing, is like, sometimes the camera can make people uncomfortable because, again, camera in the face, I'm being recorded, you know, things like that. But outside of, I mean, it really, we had a great, dude, I'm telling you, like, I had a lot of fun, and I could tell that the people I was talking to was vibing too. There was literally only one person that I talked to where I was like, yeah, he ain't feeling me. He ain't feeling it. But this is the thing too. This is the thing too that people got to realize, and because the whole time I'm there, I got to fight those thoughts of people not wanting to be bothered, this and that. And then I fight through that, and I see that people are having a good time talking to me. Luke, dude, if you're not willing to have those awkward moments, if you're not willing to deal with people not liking you, then you're not going to find those people that like you. You're not going to have that type of fun. Like, it's really just it's one of those things that you just kind of got to accept about socializing in life, you know. And on top of that, of course, you can try to act more normal, but I feel like it's best to be yourself and just see who click with you and who don't, you know. And I feel like that's really what made those interactions so rich, was because, you know, I'm throwing myself out there, and then there were times where I was like, this dude is super nerdy. But then there were times where we were on the same level, and I'm sure there were times where I was more nerdy than the person I was talking to. But I'm just saying, like, if you always think like that, like if you're always afraid of just running into the person that's not going to be receptive to your energy, then you're not going to be able to have fun like that. And that's kind of what you kind of just got to say, fuck it. Some people are not going to vibe with you, and that's okay. That's perfectly okay. There have been times people would talk to me, and I was like, God, I ain't trying to talk to this nigga. Just in life in general. So it's one of those things that you just, when you step into the realm of socializing and meeting new people, you got to accept it. Everybody not going to vibe with you. But then some people will. And it's worth it for those interactions. And so Pumpkin says, on the 9 things I learned as a Wagey video, any coworkers ever come through for you in a big way that made an impression? I remember some coworkers thought I was homeless for a bit and secretly tried to give me some food for a while. Do you tell people you work at McDonald's or wherever you work? I don't work at McDonald's. Or do you still identify as a YouTuber, musician, podcaster, and tell people you work for YouTube as an artist? Do you feel some type of way about, let me take this one. He asked multiple questions. I'll start with the first one. Have any coworkers come through for me in a big way? I would say probably my supervisor, because he was the one that put in a good word for me to get a raise. Because he's on the floor with us as we're working, so he sees what everybody's work ethic is like. And so, you know, he was the one that put in a good word for me with the bosses. And on top of that, there was one week that was especially chaotic, and this is when we were really short, and I stayed longer hours that whole week. Like, I mean, I was really like a soldier that week, and they gave me a $20 bonus, and there was another time where he put in the good word for me. So really, my supervisor, he respects my work ethic, and he made sure to vouch for me when it comes to the people who actually own the company that we work for. And so I would say my supervisor for sure. Do you tell people you work at McDonald's? I don't work at McDonald's. Actually, I do. I don't really tell a lot of people that I do YouTube and music, and that's a bad habit, actually. Even when I was at the Anime Con, there were people who were like, "What's your Instagram? Like, you got social media?" And I would kind of downplay it. I have a bad habit of downplaying like my content creator stuff, because it's so like super personal. Like it's my whole life is up there. It's like you get up there and the first thing you look at is all this like virgin black pill, red pill stuff, and then this music. So, but I'm gonna start really putting, like, especially a place like the Anime Con. I should have had cars and everything, bro. But I have a bad habit of not even telling people that I do that. So I lead with talking about my job first if people ask what I do, because I've never been the type to put myself out there like as an artist. I never felt like I had the clout to, but that again, that's not good. That's a bad habit. Sometimes you gotta like fake it till you make it, and so you gotta like walk the walk of an artist. And a lot of times I just always felt like I don't have the numbers to even brag about something like that. And then he says, do you feel some type of way about the job you work at? I know some people are embarrassed to say they work as a shoe salesman, for example. I don't, because it's like and I always talk about this, expectations are different in the black community. The fact that I'm just a young black man who got a job, and that in of itself is a good thing, especially like within my family, who was aware of how long I didn't have a job and wasn't working. And then they've seen me slowly, start to pull myself together and start being more responsible. So that I don't have any shame in my game about where I work, because like I said, like it's not like the bar was super high to begin with, where people were expecting me to be a doctor or anything like that. Shit, people were barely expecting me to get a job anyway. So I don't feel bad about it. And on top of that, it's one of those things where I think usually guys are more self-conscious about it when it comes to girls, because girls have a more of an expectation of guys making a lot of money. And you guys know I'm not out here trying to impress no hoes, so I don't give a fuck what they say. I make enough money to satisfy myself and pay rent to my mom, and that's all I need right now. And then he says, is your mom content with where you are working at, or is she trying to get you to go back to school or get a different job, promotion of any kind? I would say she's content. Yeah, because I'm able to really, the first job, the part-time job, I could tell that she wanted me to do something else, because she saw the potential. She was like, oh, he's actually responsible when he's working. And so she could tell that if I was working like a full-time job, then I'll be able to do even more. But with this job, because it's full-time, and I'm able to, give her money every week. Like the last job, I was getting paid every 2 weeks. This job, I'm making, of course, more money because it's full-time, and I'm getting paid every week. So I'm giving her money every week. So I think she's satisfied with that for sure. Definitely, she knows that I had the potential to do more. Again, it's an entry-level type job, but I think that, again, with expectations being the way they are in the black community, just me staying out of trouble, not having baby mamas or drug habits, and having a job and being somewhat responsible, she feels good about that. And so You Can't Beat K says, on the 9 things I learned as a Wazy video, you're low-key a bum for not giving homie a ride when you see his ass right there walking in the heat. And then Mark says, nah, he was traumatized from the last guy. And then You Can't Beat responds, he didn't do anything. And DHDH B Huck says, nah, sometimes people got to figure out some things for themselves. He don't owe that dude anything. You can't always look out for people all the time. And so I'll say this. The first point I'll make on this is, number one, nobody is entitled to shit from nobody unless you are a child and we're talking about your parents. And we're talking about adult men here. Nobody is entitled to anything, and not even me. And that's first off. Nobody is entitled to any help or effort from me whatsoever. But I look at things differently because of my own experiences. And going back to when I had my part-time job, I didn't have a car then. I was riding with my sister, and I hate you guys. I don't like my sister. I was riding with my sister, and I hated riding with her. And I said, man, I'd rather walk or ride a bike than ride with my sister. Now, mind you, that job was 5 miles away from my house. You know what I did? I took my money, I took my paycheck, and I bought a bicycle and rode my bicycle 5 miles to a 2-hour part-time job and 5 miles back home. So my mindset of from what I've been through, like, I don't have no sympathy for these grown ass niggas, bro. I'm gonna just be honest. I don't, because the shit that I've been through and the accountability that I had for myself to do what I need to do in order to keep my job and to keep my money, man, fuck them niggas. I'm gonna just be real. Like, I hope the best for them, but don't nobody owe you shit, bro. I was out here riding a bike 10 miles a day to keep a part-time job. You think I give a fuck that he was walking in the heat? I would have been running in the heat to keep that job. So I don't have no sympathy, bro, because I hold myself to a different standard as far as like accountability, you know, and so, you know, really just tough luck for him. And then, you know, and like I said in the video, you don't know how long it's gonna take for these guys to get on their feet or to figure shit out. So that's why I stand on that. Do not start giving these motherfuckers ride, bro. I stand on that 100%. Do not start giving these guys ride. But then Elio says, I don't blame him. Once you give a coworker a ride once, they'll keep coming back. That happened to me at my second job when I was 19. Gave this guy a ride one time because we used to work the same shift together every day. And then it turned into an almost everyday thing. Eventually, he even got up the courage to ask for money. Had to turn him down and ended up quitting that job because I knew he was going to keep needing things. He never even offered to give me gas money, but honestly, don't think he really had the means to. He had like 8 kids and we weren't making a lot of money. Oh man, like it got, look, that's such an autistic thing to do though. Like, man, I'm gonna just quit the job. I'm gonna just quit the job. And then UK Beat says, I don't get your story or Chad's. Both you act like the situation was so horrible. What you both describe is never a big deal. You act like he threw a tantrum when you said no, or he threatened you, or he made the car rides deliberately unpleasant. You described none of those things. You didn't even say you asked him for gas money. How am I supposed to feel bad for you? You just sound too cowardly to say no, so you just ghosted your entire job. You should not have ghosted your entire job. You should not have done that. But still, I'm with him with just don't give these guys, do not give a coworker a ride. I'm telling you guys 100%. And like I said, it's all about accountability. And that's the thing. And I know I've been a lazy NEET for a lot of my life, but the work ethic that I've developed since having a job and my mindset, it's really in my blood. Like, my mom would tell me stories where, like, she got kicked out of her mom's house at like 15. Like, she been struggling and working her whole life. And she would tell me how she would have me in a stroller and my sister on her back, or like walking beside her, and then having to walk to the babysitter, drop us off, then go to work, and then walk back to the babysitter house and pick us up in the morning and walk. Like my mom, like that's what I grew up hearing, you know, and my mom never felt entitled to anybody's effort. So it doesn't need to be a big deal for you to say no. If it's even a minor inconvenience, if it's even the tiniest bit, I just don't want to ride. That's all it takes, bro. Cause you don't owe nobody shit. And like I said, these are grown ass men that we're talking about. If you want to keep your job so bad, you'll figure something out. Why was I able to take one of my checks, get a bike, and then find a way to get to work? One of the guys I work with now, when I first started working there, he was riding his bike to work. You know what he was doing? Saving his money. Now he got a motorbike. Now he pulling up room, dude. That's what I'm talking about. So it's no excuse, bro. Even if you can't get a ride, you making money, save your money up. Get a bike, get a scooter, get a motorbike, get a car. In that order. And so on the previous comments video, FlashFire said, I honestly like this concept. I question when I first found your channel why you don't reply to any comments. Also, it makes me hear your points and who you actually are. He gets it. I don't know if you are one of the few men that has fully decentered from making your life guided by women, or you still are an incel, because you seem like you know everything that's going on socially. You don't harbor much hate. So I don't know. You seem like from a social standpoint, you seem like from a social standpoint, just a neurotypical weird guy. See. But I appreciate that somebody understands why I like to respond like this to the comments. You can give a more detailed reply to the comment and really get expressive and go into. I think people appreciate that. Every now and then I'll reply in the comment section, but I'm not gonna say all this to everybody in the comment section. So I give a thumbs up and a like. So I'm glad you appreciate that. But am I one of the few men that has fully decentered from making my life guided by women? It depends on what you're talking about. You know, because one criticism that I've often got is that I like to talk about women a lot. I like to talk about girls and modern dating and these different issues going on between men and women, and the MGTOW life, the virgin life, the black pill, red pill. That's always been a big part of my brand ever since the beginning. And one thing, I kind of feel like people expect me to be somebody that I'm not, because I'm a happy virgin, because I'm a happy single man. And you get this a lot, really, like aimed towards MGTOW guys. Like people expect us to be like these monks or Nikola Tesla scientist type motherfuckers that don't think about women, that don't care about women and hate women or something like that. And that's not me. I love girls. I like being around women. Like even when I go to the gym, I love it when there's pretty girls there and I get to be around that feminine energy, and I'm not in there staring like a creep, but I love just being around it. When I went to the anime convention, I love seeing all those cute girls and cosplaying, and the few girls that I talk to, man, any opportunity I get to even interact with girls, like I love that shit. But it's just with me, I just don't like the dating game and how it works. You know, it's like what they say, don't hate the player, hate the game. I don't hate women. I just hate the dating game. Like it's so, the odds are so stacked against average guys. I hate the games you got to play, the effort, cold approaching and the flaking, all that. That's what I hate. And that's why I don't bother with it. But I still appreciate and enjoy women as much as I can from afar. I just don't want to deal with the dating game. But when I say I'm decentered, I don't think so. Because for me, that was never my goal to be like, well, fuck these bitches. You know, I'm not going to fab. I'm not going to think about women or be around women. That was never my goal. Really, I'm actually kind of a pervert type guy, like a Master Roshi type guy at heart. You know, that's why I like looking at porn and beating my little dick and all that. Like, that's how I get my rocks off. But when I say I'm decentered from women, nah, because I still enjoy women in my own way. I kind of just enjoyed them from afar. I enjoyed them through pornography or just looking at, cute pictures of girls, sexy girl videos, TikTok shorts, whatever, or just enjoying when I get, the rare opportunity to be around them. Now, I would say that I'm decentered as far as like you said, I don't let them guide me as far as like, I'm gonna change myself to get bitches. I'm gonna act this way to get hoes. I'm gonna talk this, because there's all these do's and don'ts about dealing with women. People say you can't talk like this. You can't, like somebody was just getting on my ass about my appearance on the Pineapple Show, and they were saying that people were saying I was being weird and that I was self-sabotaging. Now I agree that I'm weird, but the behavior that you see is not me self-sabotaging. I'm just having fun because I'm not like centered or like women aren't centered for me in the sense of I'm trying to impress them. I'm trying to amuse them. I'm trying to amuse myself. I have fun doing what I want to do when I do interact with them. So that's kind of how I look at it. I'm not decentered in the sense of I still enjoy women just from afar, but I am decentered as far as like I don't let them guide me as far as like how I choose to behave and how I choose to speak, doing things for the sake of women, right? Like I'm gonna go to the anime convention just to get girls. Just like I don't do shit like that. Everything I do it for myself because I want to do it. And if girls happen to be there, if I happen to talk to a girl, then I'll roll with it. I'll go with the flow. Just like when I met that girl at the gym, that was just purely organic and natural. We just ended up talking here and there, and then it escalated to where I asked her if she wanted to hang out. Boyfriend, damn. Oh well. Right? So I wouldn't say I'm completely decentered, but I definitely don't let them guide me. I enjoy them the way I want to. And You Can't Beat says on the same video, to elaborate on some of my points, the reason I think personality doesn't matter is because of my theory on the variance of women. I think a lot of women prefer bad guys, but I think a lot of women also prefer nice guys. I think if you're physically attractive, you'll have options either way. If you're not physically attractive, you'll have no options either way. When I say all women are the same, I mean that because they care about looks far more than personality, and their physical preferences are all far more the same than their personality preferences. I'm saying that women are all the same where it matters. If you have two equally physically attractive dudes, one bad boy and one nice guy, and you put them in a room, even if the bad boy gets 10 women and the nice guy gets 5, what difference does it really make if both dudes are easily getting women? An attractive man of any personality would never be lonely, but an ugly guy of any personality will always be lonely when it comes to romance and sex. When guys have this debate, I assume we're talking about it in the context of what's applicable advice. I don't think saying that girls prefer bad boys is applicable at all, because I don't think that'll really improve your SMV in any meaningful way. I think of things in terms of booze more than integers. Now we're talking math. You lost me. I don't think how many successes can a man get. I think will a man succeed or fail. Your personality can change a 1 to a 2 or a true to a true, but a 0 or a false will always be a 0 or false. When I was arguing, that's all I was thinking about. So I get your point there, that personality, basically he's saying that personality, like when you're talking about the nice guy, bad boy thing, that can make a difference. Like all other things being equal, the bad boy does have that bad boy advantage because girls tend to like those dark triad Machiavellian traits. But if you are at least just good looking and attractive, then that doesn't matter as much either way, because if you are a physically attractive guy, then you will be able to succeed with women regardless if you're nice or bad. The bad boy might get more pussy, but the fact that you can even just get pussy based on your looks alone is enough. But I get that. I'm just saying that we got to factor those other things in, because I get it. Looks are very important, but there are other things that goes into a man's success with women, and not even just personality, but also finances. I think money is becoming more and more of an important factor as well. You know, we're talking about personality and looks. I think money and status, those things might even be more powerful depending on like the amount that you have, to be real. Like you could be ugly, you could be a ugly nice guy and get a lot of girls if you have status and money. Like if you just happen to have like a really popular Twitch, let's say you're an ugly nerd, but you're famous on Twitch or something like that. You're a famous streamer and you got a lot of money. Like that's gonna put you in the right situations to be able to, leverage that to get more women. Now, are they gonna like you for you? Probably not. But I'm just saying, like, if we're talking success versus failure, then. But I also think you're a little bit too pessimistic when it comes to ugly dudes too, because being ugly doesn't guarantee that you're gonna fail with women. I don't want to be the guy that's saying, I know a short, ugly, balding Indian dude that's dating models, right? But just gotta throw that in there because that is true that there are less attractive men that still manage to find success with women. But a lot of that, like I said, it comes down to the fact that a woman's attraction to man it is multifaceted. Looks are important, but there are other things that go into it as well, and that can allow even a ugly dude to be able to at least find some success. Oh, and sometimes it's just an ugly dude with an ugly bitch. Right? So it depends on how you look at that. Do you think success is only getting with a cute girl or a QT, or is being ugly with an ugly girl also successful? It just depends on how you look at it. And he also says on the first part of the comments video, I think the game of feeling like one needs to reproduce or they're a loser is just a roundabout rationalization for being ugly. You don't like ugly people, huh? They know they're being bullied because they're not beautiful. They know people are biologically inclined to care about beauty because of reproduction. The way I think about it is that it matters less if someone reproduces or not, but it matters if someone can or can't. Men don't want to feel like they're too ugly to even have the choice of whether or not they can have kids. That was good. that was good. You know what? The reason why I picked this comment, I remember now, because I think in a way it applies to me. And because one thing people tend not to understand about me, right, is that clearly I'm not like an incel, right? Clearly I'm not an incel like tier guy. Now, when I was in high school, damn, I was fucked up. But over the years, when I started getting into self-improvement and working out, bettering myself and things like that, I started to bloom a bit. And I started noticing here and there girls maybe or maybe not giving me choosing signals. I'm not sure. But I think even going like way back to the beginning of when I was thinking about even embracing being a virgin and being single long term, it was never based on the idea that I was an incel or that I was incapable of getting girls. I always felt like I could, but it wouldn't be with the quality of girl that I wanted, or it would require too much effort. And so I think now, whether it was true or not, whatever, but I think because I felt like I could, that alleviated a lot of the negativity associated with that decision, because I didn't feel like I'm single, I'm a virgin because I can't do it. I felt like I'm single and a virgin because, like, yeah, I'm disadvantaged compared to like the Chads and Tyrones. We can list the disadvantages I have, but to say that I can't get no pussy whatsoever, especially when I've had situations, fat girls clearly liking me or choosing signals here and there. I think because I always knew that I could do it, that was enough. And kind of like the point you're making here about reproductive success, as long as you know that you can do it, you don't feel like you need to prove anything. And that's exactly how I feel about reproduction. Like, I don't need to prove anything in terms of like reproductive success, because I know I could go out and get a stupid fat bitch pregnant. I know I could do it. So anybody trying to get me to have kids based on that, like, you're crazy, because you're basically trying to trick me out of my position. I know I can do it, but if I do it, then I'm only going to really be hurting myself trying to win a game I don't even care about. But like he said, if you don't have that confidence, that self-assuredness that you can do it, then I think that can push you to feeling like you gotta prove it, or you'll feel worse about, you know, the position that you're in. And then he says, you said that men's strategies were a reaction to women's behavior, but when asking yourself if women's strategies are a reaction to men's behavior, all of a sudden you don't want to play the blame game. Come now. You can say what you honestly believe. Now look, and this is another topic. This is another good topic that we can talk about later. But one thing you guys would notice about me is, like, I'm not really in the business of like shaming women, being like, oh, these, you know, we got to get rid of feminism and put these hoes back in the kitchen and things like that. But I will say that you correctly called me out there, because I do intentionally do that, where I hold back a bit, you know, when I could put my foot down on next. But the reason why I hold back, because it's, for me, it's not as important. It's not that important to try to emphasize that it's women's fault or men's fault. Like, I'm really over that. I'm beyond that. And and you could be 100% right. I'm just saying, at this point, I don't care who cast the first stone. And the reason why is because when you get to that point where you realize that your happiness and your self-esteem is not based on what women think, like when you get to that point where you don't need to be validated by women to feel good about yourself, that is really what cures you of any red pill rage or being upset about the state of modern women. Me, I talk about these things. I observe women and men in the dating game. I love it. I love, because to me, it's kind of like when you follow politics and global issues regarding any type of problem, like following World War III or conspiracies or discrimination, censorship, whatever the case may be. Like, to me, observing the evolution and the changes of the dating game and the problems between men and women, like, I love that. It's exciting to me. It's interesting. But I think at the same time that because I've achieved personal happiness as someone who's single, I don't feel threatened by these changes in women. I don't feel, because it's like, women, to me, women can do whatever they want. They can't hurt me or fuck up my life unless I start dealing with them, and I'm not dealing with them. So that's why you will see me kind of hold back a little bit when I could try to blame women, or and right or wrong. I'm just saying, like, because I'm sure people have caught me doing that, and you're right, I do it intentionally, but it's mainly just because I'm over trying to blame one gender over the other. I'm just past that point, because regardless of whether it was men or whether women started, whatever the case may be, I'm good. So I don't care. As long as I'm good, that's what I care about, you know. But I think guys who are still invested in trying to achieve a high level of success with women, yet they're going to be more likely to kind of point that out. And sometimes it's fair, sometimes it's not. But I'm just going to say you correctly called me out on that. But it's only because I'm just over being upset with women about these things. So I don't feel the need to call them out as harshly as some other guys do. I just roll with it. And so on the 33-year-old virgin video, Absolute Emperor says, 28 years old here and still one. I honestly don't care about it anymore. I've made peace with the possibility of being one for the rest of my life. I'm content for the moment. Yeah, you're preaching to the choir, man. And FlashFire says, are you content, or are you so far removed that you have given up and made peace that you will never get it? Because to be honest, a person who truly doesn't care rarely talks about it or thinks about it. So I'm gonna call bullshit on that. I'm gonna see. This is the problem, and this goes back to what I was talking about, where people try to put you in the box. This is the box. This is the box that people want to put you in. If you didn't care, you wouldn't talk about it. If you didn't care, you wouldn't think about women. If you didn't care, and let me give you a good example to explain like why that's wrong. It's like if you decide to go vegan, I'm gonna be vegan now. Now, obviously, we know that vegans can be kind of annoying about promoting the vegan lifestyle and the vegan diet. But going vegan doesn't mean that all of a sudden that you're not interested in dieting or the meat industry and animal cruelty. Oftentimes, going vegan is a result of learning about these things, the health benefits of the diet, the cruelty to animals that happens in slaughterhouses. And so you become fixated on the reasons and the things that have led you to the choices that you've made. And I think that's really what happens a lot of times with guys who are virgins or single. It's like, for us, talking about being a virgin, talking about being single, this is like what talking about your girlfriend or relationship is like for guys who have that. You know, when you have a girl or you're married, you talk about that because that's a part of you. That's a part of your lifestyle, is having that girl. My life and his lifestyle is being single, is being a virgin. And so in different ways that affects our life. So it's like, for instance, people at my job, they know that I'm a virgin. I don't care about telling them. I probably shouldn't have now that I think about it. But one of the things that I've had to deal with since telling them I'm a virgin, now I got the older guys telling me like, man, I need to set you up with somebody or this and that. Like, so being a virgin, being single, it's a unique lifestyle. It's a life experience where you want to express that. You express what it's like to be a virgin, what it's like to be single going into your, like, further into your adulthood. The same way when you got a girlfriend, you express what it's like to have a girl, to cuddle, the this and that, the ups and downs, the problems, the drama, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so I'm just saying, dude, fuck that box. Like, stop trying to put virgins in the box of what you created. You're creating a box for people. And really, I'm just going to be honest. I think when people say stuff like that, it's because they are unaccepting of the reality that men can be happy. Like, I'm just going to be real, bro. I've noticed this. People are bothered by the fact that you can be happy being single, being a virgin. And I think it varies, like the reasoning behind it, I think it varies person to person. But I think a lot of times it's projection. There are a lot of people that they're not happy single. They don't feel good about being a virgin. So they see somebody like me, and it's like, well, how? That's impossible because you need pussy to be happy. But that's a projection. And so I'm just being, because I've always noticed this. And I feel like when people say stuff like that, it's an attempt to devalue your happiness. It's an attempt to devalue the state that you're in. And what, like I said, what they do is they try to put you in the box of what they think a virgin is supposed to be, a happy virgin. A happy virgin is supposed to be a monk in the fucking woods, never thinking about what, no. A happy virgin can be a motherfucker like me jacking off and enjoying all of his few, but you know, the experiences that I do have with girls, going out and being able to, like, I can still enjoy that and not hate women and, you know, observe the dating game and talk about that and like this is a whole like movement of guys who are going into their adulthood and remaining virgins and remaining single. And some of them can deal with it, some of them can't. But being able to talk about it and connect with other guys who are going through the same thing, there's value in that. There's beauty in that. So I'm just saying, people gotta like stop trying to put people in this box, bro, of what you think a virgin is supposed to be. A happy virgin, I should say. Okay, ran over. But then Absolute Emperor says, I'm content, but if it never happens, it never happens. And I'm okay with that. Sorry if it sounds like I contradict myself. I definitely don't mean to. Also to note, this is the only time I've ever talked about it before. I was just sharing my personal viewpoints. But see, this is exactly what I'm talking about. So you got a guy like me who, like me and him, we have a shared experience. I talk about it on my YouTube channel. He finds it. Oh my God, this guy is like me. And then he communicates it with me. And it's like, oh, that's what it's all about. That's what it's about to be a content creator, to express yourself and to talk about what your lifestyle is like. You connect with other people who have similar experiences or the same mindset. It's not to have that experience and don't talk about it. What the hell would I be here for if I don't talk about my experiences? Think about it. And that's the beauty of it, is that by me stepping on this platform and saying, hey, I'm a virgin too, then I've connected with so many other guys who can relate to, like, maybe not 100%, but to many different things that I talk about, or my perspective and views when it comes to, you know, women and embracing being single, finding happiness as a virgin, and, you know, why I don't want to date and this and that. Like, that's what it's all about, connecting with other people. There's nothing wrong with talking about it, because it's a significant part, like just the simple fact that this is the way that we live. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. And it's something worth talking about. And then T-Dot says, dude, you're an obsessed normie. And then Crown Clan says incel rage. And T-Dot says intelligent, coherent comment. And then FlashFire says, so yeah, it's something you want, but mentally you've given up and you don't think it's possible. So you're okay if it doesn't happen. This is coping because you feel like mountain is too high to climb, but you do want to climb it. So I gotta say this too, because people love throwing that word cope around. If you look up the definition of coping, it means that you've successfully dealt with a setback or bad situation. So coping isn't even a bad thing. People love to throw that word. You're cope. Cope means that you found a way to successfully deal with a bad situation or a setback. So let's apply that to my situation. I would love to have a girlfriend. Like, great. That would be wonderful. But do I need it to be happy? Do I need a girlfriend to be happy? Do I need a girlfriend to feel good about myself, to enjoy my life? No. And because of that, now you can talk about the mountain, right? The mountain is too high. Wait a minute. Because you feel the mountain is too high to climb, no. But you do want to climb it, no. The fact that the mountain is too high is exactly why we don't want to climb it. So you got that part wrong. When you're trying to understand the mentality that guys like myself and he have, you can use that mountain analogy, but it's actually like we want what's at the top of that mountain. That's the girlfriend. We want, like, yeah, I want that. Wait, hold on. In fact, this is funny. So it's like somebody take a picture of what's at the top of the mountain, right? And they show it to you like, hey man, this is at the top of the mountain. And I'm like, oh yeah, let's do it. And then he like, that's the mountain. And I'm like, oh hell no. Fuck that shit. That's what our mentality is like. So it's not that the mountain is too high and we want to climb it. We don't climb it because it's too high. We want the reward at the top. We would love to have it, but we're not climbing. I'm not climbing no goddamn mountain for no pussy. I'm not climbing no mountain for that shit. And that's exactly what the problem is though. When it like why so many guys are just kind of checking out and not bothering with it, because we're realizing that it takes so much effort. It's so much risk. It's so much effort. And then on top of that, you're probably not even going to be able to get the quality of girl that you even want. And so it really just feels like it's not worth it. You know, the reward would be nice, but to climb a mountain to get it, we ain't going for it.